All right. Hey guys, I hope that you guys are having a great day, and I hope you've had a chance to check out the workout that I posted earlier this morning. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to do a class with you guys today, but I guarantee you this workout is a good one. It's going to make you sweat, and it's great if you add in some weights with it as well. I just tried it out for myself this morning. Really good workout. And so we're going to get on started. I'll walk you guys through each movement from the warm-up all the way through the workout, and I'll give you guys the modifications as well. So for the warm-up, we're going to start out with a lot of general movements. We're going to start out first with squats. We're going to use squats quite a bit in this workout. You want your feet hip to shoulder width apart as you squat down. Booty back as if you're sitting in a chair, squeezing those abs in, squeezing those glutes as you come up, and of course chest open. That's our typical squat. We're going to use that in our workout today as well. Next, jumping jacks as a part of your warm-up. Jack it out, and you can always tap it out. For lunges, you're just going to lunge forward, alternating, knees over those toes. You can modify this by bringing it back and center. Next part of your warm-up, you're going to work on inchworms. So straight legs, walk it out. Add in a push-up and walk it back. To modify this for your warm-up, you can always squat, tap down, walk back, and then push up. Next, we're going to do plank to pike as a part of your warm-up. So you've already just done your push-ups. So you come into your plank position, push it back to pike, and back down. Or you can think of it as downward dog. So plank, pike, and back. If you struggle with doing that, either for shoulder reasons, wrist reasons, you can always go to your knees, be in your plank. Of course, when we're in our plank, on our knees, we want toes on the floor for good form, booty down. Now press back into child's pose. Back to plank and press back. Because what we're working on here is warming up the shoulders and shoulder mobility. And then our final piece of the warm-up, which you can do on your knees as well, or up in your plank or shoulder taps. So just back and forth, keeping those hips nice and steady. Tap, tap. All right. You want to also keep tight core when you do those. And same thing, booty down, tight core, tap, tap. If you're on your knees, toes on the floor for good form. So those are your 6 movements for your warm-up. You'll want to go through those in 30-second intervals, and you're going to go through it 3 times. So including the warm-up, the workout should take anywhere from 45 minutes to 60 minutes, and that depends on the individual and their fitness level. It also depends on whether you're using weights or not. For me, I used weights, and I used light weights for me, and it took me about 50 minutes to get through everything. And that is including the 1-minute rests in between rounds. So real quick, let's talk about our workout and the exercises that go into those rounds. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to focus on one exercise and how it builds each round, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. So starting out, squats. We do our squats in our warm-up. We know how those go. For every exercise you do, it's going to be 5 repetitions, and you're going to go through all of your exercises in your round, and you're going to do that 5 times. So 5 reps, 5 sets for every round, okay? If you have any questions on that, feel free to hit me up on Facebook. You can throw questions up in the live chat feed as we're going. And anyway, so going back to our first exercise, we have squats, regular old squats. We do 5 of those, okay? When you go on, once you've gone through your 5 sets in your first round, in your second round, we're going to build on that squat, and we're going to turn it into a squat pulse. So you're going to go down pulse 1, 2, and up. And that'll be your 5 times. When we move on to the third round, we're going to turn it into a squat jump. So down as you jump up, and back down into that squat. You want to make sure as you jump, tight core, squeeze those glutes. Okay. Now you can also add weight to this. So for me, I added weight to squats the whole way. If you're doing it with your squat jumps, make sure that it's light enough that you can still get off the ground, but you're also able to control your movement down. If you're unable to control your movement down into your squat, you can hurt your knees, and you don't want to do that. If you have trouble with your jumps, you can always come up into a calf raise and back down. The final round, in round 4, you're going to build upon this further. You're going to go into a squat jump, pulse, okay? And you can make these as low as you want, as long as your knees are over the toes, you're not bowing out or coming in. You can go all the way down, jump up, all the way down, okay? So that is our first exercise, squat, building all the way up to a squat, jump, pulse. Next, lunges. If you see in the workout I posted on Facebook, there's an asterisk or a star next to certain movements where you need to do both sides for it to count once. This is one of those exercises. So when I lunge, I'm going to lunge 1 and 1, okay? And I'm going to do that up to 5 reps. If you have trouble with forward lunges, you can always lunge it back to modify. And if you have trouble with your knees and it's hard for you to go down all the way to get that 90 degrees, just lunge down as far as you can go and then come back up. Building upon that, it's going to be a lunge pulse, just like our squat pulse. We're going to lunge, pulse, and up, and pulse, and up. When we build upon that further, we're going to turn it into a lunge changer. So 1 and 1, 2 and 2, okay? Again, if you have trouble with jumps or anything like that, you can just revert back to the regular lunge or the lunge pulse. Finally, we're going to add a pulse onto those lunge changers, just like we did with that squat pulse. So pulse and 1, 2 and 2, okay? So that's our second exercise. Moving on to our third exercise. Everything is going to be on the floor from here on out. Our third one, we're going to be doing mountain climbers. So I get into my good plank position. Booty down, tummy pulled in. 1 and 1, 2 and 2, all the way up to 5, okay? Do your best with your mountain climbers. If you struggle with any kind of wrist issues, if you have anything like a dumbbell at home, sometimes what you can do is you hold your dumbbells, you put them down on the floor, and then you're putting less pressure on your wrists this way, and you can go in your mountain climbers. If you're still struggling with that, try forearm planks or try spider planks. A spider plank from this position, again, this is easier because you can go onto your forearms. I can't do a mountain climber on my forearms as easily because knees are going to hit the floor. But with this one, I can go onto my forearms, and rather than bringing my knees up straight, I can bring them up the sides and up the sides. And in that case, you would do 1 on each side for it to count as 1, just like we do with our lunges. You can also bring that onto your knees if you need to. So if you struggle with being on your wrists, again, you can go on your knees from here, side view. You can go on the knees and you can draw knee up the side. Okay. When we build upon that, we're going to do cross mountain climbers instead. So your cross mountain climbers, you're going to still do your regular mountain climber, but this time it's knee to opposite hand. So cross and cross. And again, if we're struggling with wrist issues, we've done the spider plank, but another option we can do from here is to come onto all fours and try doing cross taps with the knees. Or you can continue to do your spider planks because we're still going to be working similar muscle groups with those obliques. When we build upon this again, we're going to be doing kick throughs from a plank position. So this is for round 3. We're in our plank. We're going to twist, open, kick, and back. Now, this one's a more advanced move. So if you struggle with that, again, you have your mountain climbers, you have your cross mountain climbers, you can do spider planks. Another option would be to do only a half kick through. So I come into my plank, I just twist, get my knee up and back down. Knee up and back down. Okay? Up, down, up, and down. And just like I've been doing, I want to do one on each side for it to count as one. So for round 4, our final movement is we're going to do that from a tabletop position. So tabletop is when we come from all fours and we just lift up off the floor with those knees. And now I'm going to kick through and back, kick through and back. Now again, if I struggle with the full kick through, I can do that twist, that half kick through, can twist and back and twist and back. And just like we've been doing, we can always modify, revert back to mountain climbers, cross mountain climbers, spider planks, or even those knee taps. Even further, if you wanted to, going back to either the plank or the tabletop, you can always do taps instead. So from the plank position, I'm tapping opposite hand to opposite knee. And I can do this from tabletop position, opposite hand to opposite knee. All right, so that's our third movement done. Round 4. We're going to work on some push-ups and different types of push-ups. The first one is really basic. We're going to take our push-up and we're going to start all the way on the ground. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down. My hands are going to be stacked underneath my shoulders, toes on the floor, and I'm just going to push off the floor and back down. We're all the way back down to the floor. Just push up and back down to the floor, right? Again, if we struggle with getting our whole body off the floor, we can revert to our knees. So from here, I'm going to keep my knees on the floor, push up, and back down. And as you can see, booty's down, back is flat, tummy's pulled in for the whole thing. Next, I'm going to do regular old push-ups. This is round 2. So I'm up in my regular push-up position, down and up. I want to make sure that I'm staring straight ahead. I usually pick a floorboard to stare at so that my neck isn't looking up or down. And again, we can do this from our knees, down and up. Our third round, we're going to add in some shoulder taps. So to give you guys a different perspective, I'm going to start in my push-up position, and I'm going to do 2 shoulder taps, 1 for each hand. So from here, push up, I'm going to tap 1 and 2. Now the trick with these is I don't want my hips to sway side to side. So what I mean by that is if I push up, I don't want my hips to go 1, 2. I want them to stay exactly where they are. 1, 2. This is also going to work your abs. You're going to work your abs with the mountain climbers, but you're really going to work them once we get into the shoulder taps and further along in our push-ups because you have to keep that core steady. So again, hip steady. You can also do this from your knees. Push up, tap, tap. All right, final round is a push-up with hip taps. So our hands are going to go from our shoulders all the way down to our hips instead. So as I push up, I'm going to tap hip, hip. Push up, tap hip, and hip. These are a little bit more difficult because you're balancing your weight and your hands coming further away from that point where we're balancing. But you can still do this from your knees. So again, push up, hip, hip. All right. And just like the others, I keep my hips steady. I focus on really strengthening that core and keeping it where it is. We're going to move on to our final movement, our 5th and final movement. This is going to start out with bridge hip lifts. This is a great one to use weight with if you would like to. I keep my heels on the floor, feet about hip width apart. Toes down. I'm going to press up through those heels, squeeze my glutes. I'm going to squeeze my abs in to reinforce that. So I squeeze up and down. When I build upon this for round 2, I'm going to keep my hips up this time, and I'm going to march my feet 1 and 1, 2 and 2. Okay, so I'm keeping those glutes engaged, core is engaged. For round 3, I'm going to bring my hips back down to the floor, and I'm going to do a kick through. So as my hips come up, my leg's going to lift, and I'm going to kick up and back down. And again, press up with my glutes as I kick and back down. 2 and 2. Now for the final round, we're going to add a little bit of a push off with this. So what I'm going to do is my leg's going to come back. I'm going to push off through my heel. I'm going to kick up as I push my hips all the way off the floor. I'm going to push up and down. Push up and down. 2 and 2. Okay? And again, with those, you can always revert back to your regular hip lifts, your march. You can revert back to those kick throughs, or you can, add weight to make it a little harder. For any of these exercises, I would recommend that you guys use a heavier weight for things like your squats or lunges, a very light to medium weight, depending on your fitness level and what you can do if you're going to add weight to jumps. For me, I had a fairly light weight with my jumps. Things like your push-ups, you can always have a weight leveled out on your back, but you have to make sure that your back is flat the whole time to do that. For anything like your hip lifts, you can always hold weight over your hips while you're doing this. For me, I have leg weights here at home. I would say if you've got those and you want to really work your core, it's great for things like those mountain climbers, those cross mountain climbers, and those kick throughs, because you're really going to feel it as you twist and you stabilize that core. And if you don't have those, that's totally fine. And if you want to add weight at home, anything like some really heavy books, if you get like a tote bag or a shopping bag and you fill that with some random heavy items, that will also work as well for things like your squats or your lunges. All right, so I haven't gotten any questions, so I'm assuming that you guys have, been good through this demo, but if you do have any questions in the future, feel free to hit me up on Facebook. You can comment on this video and I will be sure to comment back. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Be healthy, be well. Let me know what you think of this workout. Comment on my Facebook page at Get Fit with Esther Leonardo and enjoy. Bye, guys.